Hello, hello, hello. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, let me get my slides up and we're good to go. Of course, I don't think we'll be here longer than a hour. Oh, my bell is defunct. Let me see. Too aggressive. Okay. Um, oh my goodness, what did I just do? Did I do it again? Oh no, that's right. That's right. Okay. And let's see here. Okay, there we go. Um the that's up and we're good. Is it May Day? Ain't May 1st is May Day, right? I think it is. Although you never hear people mention it that much. You know why? Because they don't want us to think about labor unions, right? And wasn't May Day all about labor unions? I think so. Okay. All right. Get rid of that. Move you up there. Hey, Legs. Noella uh, Versace. Am I saying that right? Noella, what a beautiful name. Heather Stroud. Compton Cali Gal. Let me see who was here first. Lydia Washington. Okay. Let's get into it then. This is a David versus Goliath situation. The Davids are the claimants, and the Goliath is this vast media enterprise. I'm trying to get justice for everybody. So, as you know, Harry has been to court over and over again because of the media. But this decision tomorrow is not about the media, but it is about making sure that Harry is getting justice for everybody. You see, the things that they're getting away with him now, um, it may be the same tactic that's used against other royals, other members of the royal family tomorrow, including, and notwithstanding, but including the, what do you call it? His niece and nephews, right? Because there will come a day when another senior member of the royal family may decide to take a big step back away from, the senior working royal. Let me see, what do we want to call it? Because it's kind of redundant to say non working royals, because it is quite obvious that Harry and Meghan work, and they work a lot, and not just for themselves, but for others. So um, you can't say that they're not working royals. That's redundant. Plus, the idea that a royal works is also kind of goofy, because part of being in the aristocracy is that you are the landed gentry. You're not supposed to work, or you don't call it work. You're there to accept feudal handouts for things that well, anyway, you know what I'm saying. All right, so let's see. Legs has a comment. Let me see that one there. It is like the Statue of Liberty being given in 1865. People ignored why the French originally gave it, with the chains on her feet and um, at in her, and of course her hands. She was actually supposed to have a chain hanging out of her hand instead of holding a book, and the chains are actually at her feet where nobody could logically see it, especially in the days before aircraft. You wouldn't even know it was there, but it was a compromise. I mean, think about it. It is a statue of liberty. People immigrating to the US or migrating to the US back in those days, I don't suppose it was as many people escaping tyranny as there were people looking for a new life or escaping poverty, or as we know with the Irish immigrants, it was the famine, or sometimes it was civil war. But the term liberty, of course, that means to liberate, as in slavery. And the French was hoping that the United States would live up to its promise. And there have been several times when the French used the United States as inspiration, several times. And of course, you wouldn't know it by looking at the way things are right now, but um, because it seems like all of these Western countries are taking a big step back toward authoritarian governments or whatever, but and all this right wing stuff where they're trying to exclude certain people and considering them non-Americans or non-French or non-British, mostly based on their ethnicity and their color or whatever. But yeah, it's um it's very different now. So it's hard. Okay, one of the things that is hard to overcome is that you have this interesting situation where even Harry would say, I have a life of privilege. I come from a life of privilege. I am privileged. However, it does not mean that the pain that he has endured is any less painful. And that's the hard thing to try to make people understand, is that this man has been abused by a system where he was um, supposed to fail. They meant for him to fail. The system says that he is the whipping boy. He is the one who will take all incoming for his brother. And since William only has one sibling, Harry has to take the bulk of everything coming his way. They use Harry in exchange, right down to donating organs for the sake of the kingdom. And that's just the truth. Harry was an afterthought. And as I've always said, so ever since I found out about William having a hairline fracture to the skull, hell, they couldn't even protect him. They weren't doing such a great job of protecting him. That should have never happened, but it did. Anyway, um, so we find out 2 p.m. What is it, GMT time? We find out at 2 p.m. Thank you very much for the super chat. But we find out at 2 p.m. whether the case can proceed. I believe this is to determine whether the case can proceed. Let's see. Prince Harry to hear the outcome of UK security appeal on Friday. Prince Harry is due to discover Friday the outcome of his appeal against the UK government decision to downgrade his police protection on visits to Britain, according to court listing. Judges at the Court of Appeal are set to hand down their decision on Friday afternoon following a closely followed 2-day hearing in April, for which Harry made a rare trip to London. The youngest son of King Charles III cut ties. Oh, God, I'm so tired of hearing that over and over again. I know it's part of the story, but following his departure, the UK government decided he would not receive the same degree of publicly funded protection when in Britain, and that his security would be determined on a case by case basis. After losing the initial case against the Interior Ministry, Harry, the Duke of Sussex, launched an appeal with his lawyers alleging that he was singled out for unjustified and inferior treatment. In a written submission, lawyers said Harry and Meghan had been involved in a dangerous car pursuit with the paparazzi in New York City and had received threats from Al Qaeda. The verdict could determine how often Harry, long haunted by the death of his mother, Princess Diana, in a car chase fleeing paparazzi in 1997, visits Britain. Now, just today, um, one of those monsters, one of those Royal Rota people, had the nerves to say that, oh gosh, who did they? Oh, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise sometimes rides the subway. And there was no mention of any threats. Um, and of course, my number one position is he is the son of a head of state. I could even see the argument of not providing security if he's abroad, but they won't even let him pay for security when he's back in his place of birth. That makes no sense. The whole point of this is to punish him. To punish him, and as I fear, to create a second class status for not only him, but for the Duchess of Sussex and their children. And I hate to see those children growing up othered. But that's exactly what this is. Because if and when, or, let's say in the far flung future, those Sussex children are invited to the UK. Do they have to go through some type of itemized list of details for the purpose of the visit? That it almost sounds like checking in with a parole officer. It almost sounds like someone is checking in with a parole officer, or like someone with a restraining order. It makes it seem like Harry has a restraining order, like he's trying to assert some visitation rights. It never made any sense. It still doesn't make sense. Okay. Take a look at a couple of your comments. Khadijah says they resent Harry for having the life and being the man that they thought William would be. We never became that, so they're taking it out on Harry and lying about the man that William truly is. Oh yeah, they are totally in a world of make believe where William is concerned. This whole trip to the island of Dole was an exercise in propaganda. It really was. That monster with those big arms that y'all know I can't stand her, but that one with those Popeye arms, she actually was going on and on about how in love they are. This is a total rebrand, a total rebrand, and they know it. But everybody is pretending. Everybody is pretending. And it just goes to show what is possible when they decide that they want to make a lie become the truth. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're turning this big lie into their version of the truth. And they literally had to go to this rural island community to try to sell it. There's no other reason why that would happen. And then, too, think about it like this. It's not a big deal because the fact that it's their honeymoon, it doesn't mean a whole lot to them. It doesn't mean anything to them. And it hasn't for a long time. So, anyway, let me take that away. Thank you very much, Khadijah, for your comment. Can you believe 40 months? Thank you for making Royal Sussex a safe space for Sussex supporters. We really need it at this time. I'm happy that Tina Michelle sent me to you way back when. Well, thank you very much for 40 months membership. And as always, thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Okay. Take that away. And let me see. So, Harry is now, is it right that Harry is going to be in Las Vegas? I thought he was going on the 5th. But let me see. I thought Harry was going to Las Vegas on the 5th. That's why I'm kind of confused about they're saying that he's going to Las Vegas instead. Is there some other event tomorrow on the calendar for him, or am I confusing one thing and the other? But I thought for certain that he was going to Las Vegas on the 5th, and that is for something to do with Princess Diana. So help me out, because suddenly, instead of the 5th, now it's the 2nd. Or is he just not going to the UK because he's not going? But I'm just like, wait a minute. When they're saying that he has another engagement and he cannot be there. So I don't know. I'm a bit confused about that. Is it the 6th or the 5th? I guess whatever Archie's birthday is, that's the day. I thought it was the 5th, but maybe it's the 6th. Oh, you know what? The 5th is Cinco de Mayo. So that's why my mind is thinking the 5th. And of course, Cinco de Mayo is the day when every college kid across America start to reflect on their Latino roots. All of a sudden, they have some connection to, is it Mexico? Yeah. You know, St. Patrick's Day, we're all Irish. And then Cinco de Mayo, we're all Mexican. Pretty much whatever day they're serving booze, that's what we are. That's what we are. That's what we are. So yeah. Okay, so Helen G says, Legs, it's been reported it's the 6th. Archie's birthday is the 6th. Okay. So why is Harry not going to the UK tomorrow? Is he just not going? Because they're reporting that he's not going to be there. Let me see if there's something in this article that mentions that. Just for fun. Let me see if there's something in the article that mentions that. Okay, let me see. Nope, I don't think so. Well, I guess he just won't be there tomorrow, but I don't see anything that says either way. So, well, until we know better. Oh, yes. Don't forget in Illinois about Pulaski Day. Thank you very much. I almost forgot about Pulaski Day, but yeah, in case you all didn't know this, there are a lot of Polish Americans in the state of Illinois, and in particularly the city of Chicago. For a long time, Polish was the second language in Chicago. Now, of course, it's been overtaken by Spanish, but Dzień dobry, Yashimash. Let me see, what else do I remember? But anyway, even I learned a couple of phrases. Dzień dobry panu. Yeah, something like that. But my Polish is a little rusty. But yeah, so that's one reason why, actually, is the biggest reason why Pulaski Day is a thing, although that excitement is kind of fading a bit. But of course, the Italians had Columbus Day, or as they say, Genocidal European Navigator Maniac Day. Did I tell you guys I saw the real Christopher Columbus tomb and I didn't know what it was? I saw these people standing on it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Absolutely beautiful. Even though the contents inside are the remains of someone utterly diabolical, it was probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. That was in Seville, Spain. They have him entombed at a chapel in Seville. Seville. Am I saying it right? Seville. Sevilla. Yeah. But yeah, yeah, yeah. It's actually, anyway, I'll show you guys in a minute. Um, so if Harry's not going, we're not going to get, oh, by the way, thank you for the super chat. We're not going to get any of those Prince Harry action figure photos like this one. And then, of course, one of my favorites is this one. That just screams Ginger Avenger. There's nothing more amazing than watching Prince Harry walking in and out of court. I'm telling you, it is like watching one of those Marvel movies, like a Marvel Universe thing. And of course, honoring the aerial firefighters. Don't know what took them so long to post this, but they finally have. Um, let's see here. Well, I'm trying to find a good photo for you. Yes, maybe. No, not that one. But I kind of think that he's in like a sarcophagus or something. Okay. I'll grab two. Okay, here we go. Here goes. I'll show you. It's very interesting. And you know me, I was all the way home, and probably a year later before I knew that I was like, I seen that tomb before. So I think these are like knights that are carrying this sarcophagus, and I think he's supposed to be inside of that sarcophagus. Or maybe that could be just, symbolic in that he's actually entombed underneath. A lot of times the tomb is actually beneath whatever life-size figures they have up there. But have you ever seen anything like that? Have you ever seen anything like that? I thought it was just one of the most um, let me see. I got that one. So let me try this one. This one looks kind of dusty, but this is what it looks like. And you can walk completely around it, but it's like on a platform, like on a pedestal. And I think maybe the actual tomb is beneath it. But isn't that interesting? Never seen anything like that before. But yeah, one of the largest cathedrals in the world is the cathedral in Seville, and that place is massive. And I kind of think it used to be. No, I'm sorry, it's not Seville. Is it Seville or Zaragoza? I think it's in Zaragoza. Oh gosh, I forgot which one it is. Oh well, it's either Seville or Zaragoza. Oh no, it's Seville. It is Seville. But yeah, very very beautiful tomb. But I think he actually died away from Seville. Or I mean in the Americas. I can't remember. Okay. But anyway, you guys, I won't bore you with this any further. But I just thought it was so interesting. I wanted to share it with you. Okay. There you go. See, that's how you can walk around it. That is in Seville, Spain. All right. Okay, so let's get back to this one. So there are some new photos that we have not seen. There are so few photos from that night. And aside from Harry's speech, there was, you know, pretty much no video. If there were some other videos somewhere, I haven't seen it yet, and I promise you, some of the squatties are very adept at finding those videos, right? So I love this kind of rat pack photo that they have. I thought this was pretty cool. And look at Morgan Freeman, like the big boss. Morgan Freeman is posing like the boss with his arms folded. Let me see. So John Travolta, Prince Harry, Morgan Freeman, Kurt Russell, and I'm sure I should know who those other guys are, but I have no clue. Okay, and nice little close up here. Much better quality than the other one that came out. And then there's this one. And this one. I don't know who this is, but must be former military, and he's got that Presidential Medal of Freedom on. So, um, let me see here. Last week, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, took the stage at the 2025 Living Legends of Aviation. Um, Trying to see if it mentions who those guys are, but it does not. Um, and other than that, it just includes a speech. So there you go. Hello, my name is Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman. Each year, several recipients receive the Living Legends of Aviation Award. There, very cool. Very cool. It's a real sausage fest. Where's the ladies? Where are the ladies? Okay. Now, once again, they totally misread the room. They totally misread the room. What do I mean by that? I mean, they misread the room. They tend to pile up on the Duchess of Sussex without any regard as to how real people feel about our Duchess, as though we're a monolith and that everybody is on the hate train. Well, in all of this characteristically small print, I'll do the best I can. What is meant, well, I'm sorry, what was meant to shame her became a conversation of loss, grief, memories, and love. Now, I don't know that it's okay for me to share this person's, name or anything, so I covered it up. But this particular squatty says, we all have and will experience loss at some point in our lives. I'm incredibly grateful to my grandfather who left my mother and my auntie's letters, postcards, and photos of himself and my grandmother for them to look back at, knowing he was going to, I think it's, I'm sorry, it should say, knowing he wasn't going to be here. That's it. I found her crying, going through the said letters, postcards, and photo albums on his birthday, but showing and telling my siblings and I stories about the kind of father and man he was brought her peace. To all of you brave souls that shared your stories, thank you. The Sussex Squad and the world sees you. And so if you look on the right here, you can see where people have been sharing their experience about going through letters and such, or as the Duchess of Sussex suggests, that she would use emails, that she has created these email accounts so that her children, and that's using a great deal of foresight because um, people are more likely to see what you want to share if you put it in a medium that they're comfortable with, right? And so for the young people, if you can digitize it, it's easier to share. So Fabi says, my mom and dad would just write random letters and notes for me just because. I always saved them because they were full of jokes, life advice, and just random silly stuff. My dad died when I was 12. I still read them. People tend to die, so what's wrong with writing to your kids? And that was in response to, I'm trying to imagine turning 18 and my mom presenting me with 4,000 emails. And then another person says, people die, you forget the sound of their voice, the way they look, the way they feel. 4,000 emails are like love letters. And that reminds me of when Nate Berkus, Oprah's friend, and of course, before that, he was hired on as a decorator, and they became very close friends. And when he and his partner were they in Bali, I believe, or Indonesia? Well, I forget exactly where they were, but they were somewhere during the Christmas holiday when there was that horrendous tsunami, and somehow they were separated. And Oprah did everything she could. As a matter of fact, Oprah said that her show producers were the best in the business and that they did some incredible things to try to locate, I believe his name was Fernando. And it was, with all the chaos and everything, was impossible. Um, but what I recall is that there was a voicemail from Fernando, and Nate listened to it over and over and over again. He did not realize that after a year, it would self delete. And so he lost it, and it was unretrievable. He still has, he did not think to save it by recording it in some other way. And so it's lost forever. No way to retrieve it. And believe me, with a friend like Oprah, if there was a way to retrieve it, they would have figured it out. But that was lost. And so that was the absolute last tangible connection to Fernando. So, what was supposed to be the usual bullying tactic to, um, I guess, make Meghan look foolish or inauthentic has turned into an exercise of life learning, the sharing of grief, and so on. Um, but they don't think. They don't really think. They just it's attack, 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 and the sooner the better. They have to get it out there as soon as possible because they want to discredit Meghan. They don't want people to bond with her, and so they just go on the attack. This is becoming more and more common. I just heard people talking about doing it on a podcast recently. It's the same as saving cards you've been given, something to hold on to when people are gone. People will attack this woman for anything, and it's wild. Another one says, I would be incredibly moved that my mom loved me so much that she took time out of her day just to tell me she's proud of me when I was doing nothing at 5 years old. Yeah, at 5 years old. You never know when you'll lose someone. That's why I save every card. Very ungrateful loser behavior here. Yeah, that's very yeah, okay. Um, Let me see. There's a couple more. Oh, actually there's a few more. Let's take a look at a couple of those. My grandmother sent us postcards when she and my grandfather would go travel places because we were very close. She passed away when I was 9. This isn't the exact note, but last year I got her handwriting tattooed. I wish I had more notes from her. Wow. Let me see. Late stage capitalism, something. Oh, that's the person's name. Never mind. Okay, her husband's mother died when he was 12. My guess is he'd love it. Oh, yeah, that's something to think about. To have thousands of letters from her, I certainly would have loved to have something like that from my dad, who died when I was 11. Some of y'all are far too miserable for words. And let's see, y'all so lame. I wish I had a long lost email or letter from my pops. Once they're gone, it's all you have left. And let's see, Stevie Thick says, having lost so many people in the last few years, literally on the way to a funeral right now, I think this would be an incredible gift, to be honest. And Fabi says, my mom and dad would just write random letters and notes for me just because I always saved them because they were full of jokes. Like, okay, I think that is a repeat. Uh, yes, I think that's a repeat. I don't know how I put that twice, but there we go. And then, of course, Nellie says, whoa. Have y'all seen the amount of people defending Duchess Meghan sending emails to her kids? Folks are sharing heartbreaking stories of lost loved ones, wishing they had even one email or voice note. I will never take my parents being alive for granted. And Lady Sparkle says, my dad died when I was 9. I'd give anything to have old emails to go back to with videos or photos of the memories we had before he passed. Y'all love to hate for no reason. Just say you're miserable and go. I like her. I like her. So there you have it. And that's, Facebook, or as much as we criticize Facebook, as you guys know, I don't like to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Um, there are some things that can be the worst curse in the world. And then at the same time, I will never forget, I will never forget being older, being out of touch with so many people, not really having the big social circle anymore. And I logged onto my Facebook one day, and it was one birthday greeting after another, and another, and another, and another. And all of a sudden, I realized that I was on the verge of tears, that I was being remembered by so many people. And I was like, I wonder. And then I realized that the Facebook actually was telling people it's your birthday. I didn't know that that was a thing. This is when that first happened. And I tell you, I relive that moment in my head over and over again. All the people that I love and people that I, weren't too keen about didn't matter. I was getting like, I don't know how many birthday greetings I had that day. And on some of your worst days, that can be some of the best medicine for you, is having people say those things about you while you're alive, not at a repast or something. So let that sink in. Let that sink in. There is one post that I only tried to look for it one time. And that was from my sister. And, every day, me and my sister were so close. Every day I think about how much I miss my sister. And when I went on that mad tour of Europe that time, where I was like gone for what was it, 64 days and 63 fun filled nights. And I went from country to country to country to country with my rail pass. It was quite the adventure. And I posted on Facebook every day, every day. And so amongst my friends, I was like, um, this adventurer or whatever. And it was so many words of encouragement because, they were just like cheering me on, glad that someone in the group was doing something that you don't normally see within our circle. And my sister um, left a message saying how proud she was of me. And I don't think I ever heard her say that before. I knew she felt that way because, but it's just one of those things that wasn't really said in our family. And that was the first time that she had ever said that to me. And I was just, I stopped in my tracks. I'm like looking at my phone and walking and everything. I just stopped because I'm just like, wow, if I get nothing else out of this trip, that made it worth it. Now, unfortunately, I cannot find it. I know it's still there, but like I said, I went from city to city, country to country. I don't know where I was when I read it. So if I could narrow that down, I know that it's in the comments of one of my photos that I posted, but I posted so many of them. I would probably have to spend a good while. I'll either find it right away or I'll be at it all day trying to find it. But I would just love to grab it and print it and frame it just, to remember that day that my sister said she was proud of me. Meghan is on the right track. Um, they're terrified. They're afraid to let people see her as a human being. They're afraid of that. They would rather people see her as this sorceress or some manipulator or something like that. To see her humanity would only cause confusion for what they have planned. It's not helpful to the enemy. Oh, thank you. I mean, I'm at this point I'm just haunted by it. I'm just like, God, I wish I could find that. I'm gonna have to look again. But we didn't really talk like that to each other. Um we've obviously those feelings were there because we were always the closest in the family. But we didn't talk like that to each other. It was just kind of like, that awkward sibling thing. But you know, over the years, of course, we were more, expressive because, that's how society is now. But that just really caught me off guard. If I got nothing else out of that trip, that made it worth it. I was like, wow. That approval from someone that I look to as a hero meant everything. Very wise words, soul brother. Do it now. Don't wait. Don't hold back. But some of the people that harbor so much hostility, you look at the state of them and it's just like, this is what you do for a living. This is how you pass your time. Oh my God, it makes me sad for for humanity. It just makes me sad for humanity. Let me see here. Oh, I guess I got a couple more here, do I? Lost the chats between my mom and I cried until this day. If my mom had recorded 1,000 um something voicemails, I think she meant voicemails, and sent 1,000,000,000 emails to me, they would be my most treasured possessions, my comfort. I don't know why many people are crapping on such a beautiful, intentional act. Let's see. My mom passed when I was 16. I don't know. I wish I had 4,000 emails from her. And over here, even if my mom didn't start it when I was born, I wish I had something even remotely close to this now that she's gone. And then lastly, my sister died recently. I've been scouring her phone to find suitable audio of her voice to save for her 5-year-old son so that he can remember her. They say if you forget their voice, their memory fades. I'm creating an email address for the audios. Wow. Wow. That is powerful. Well, let's see. Okay, you guys know I am totally obsessed with that Love Luxury where they trade, buy and sell those Birkin bags and Minnie Kelly Hermes bags and such, watches, all kind of luxury items, right? So there's a separate YouTube channel for the the woman owner. There's a husband and wife that owns the company, and he has his own media stuff going on, and she has her own, and then they have one for the store. And she spoke about the loss of her mother, and I was just frozen because I had all these ideas about who I thought she was and what kind of life she had. And I promise you, you walk away from the conversation that she had with her foster mom. You walk away from that conversation changed. You feel differently about how you perceive someone you don't know. And you could see that she has this very like core strength and a great deal of dignity. She seems so regal. I mean, she is very regal. Um, and God, I don't know what her name is. I think they call her Emily. I think they call her Emily. And Emily Abraham. And I think she's gone from being Jehovah Witness to Muslim. Her husband is Muslim. And just an incredible life experience that she had. And she speaks about the loss of her mother at a very young age, and how she was put into the system as a foster child, and then her grandmother's attempts to gain custody of her, and her grandmother was not suitable to raise a child, but um it became like this big ugly scene, and it was just very interesting. So I'll share the link with you guys if you like to check it out. But it was very interesting. But she spoke about her life experience, and it was mind blowing. I did not know. I did not, I had assumptions and I was totally wrong. And they were not bad assumptions. So I don't feel like, you know, I felt, any kind of, um, like I had any bad opinions or anything like that. I was just so surprised because if you just look at her, you're just You don't see that. You don't see that for her. But she's overcome a lot, and now they have that thriving business, she and her husband, and um, they're like these YouTube celebrities or social media celebrities. So, oh, there it is right there. I will maybe I'll just put it on the community post. How's that? I will put it on the community post. Her name is Emily Abraham, and I'll do that right now. Let me see if I can find the exact video. Okay. I'll just put her life story. Okay. All right. So that's that. Let me get back to where I was and okay. Really? What did I say? What did I say? I say so much I can't keep up with it. Okay. Oh, so you know what? I tell you what, guys, since we're on this topic, right? Since we're on this topic, I'm going to give you all some homework because life happens, right? And if there's anything we've learned from the tragic fires in Los Angeles, is that it's so easy to lose all your earthly possessions. We're never as safe as we think we are. If you have an electronic device, a phone or a tablet or whatever has a camera, the photos that are most important to you, take some pictures of it. Take some pictures of it. If you got photos around the house or in a book, take some pictures of it. The quality doesn't have to be spectacular, but at least you'll have it because a lot of people don't think about it until they're gone. So take some pictures. Also, um, email those pictures, create an email account so you can store some things in the cyberspace. You know what I'm saying? You can store them in the cyberspace. That's one place. You have your electronic device. So they're stored there. Hopefully, you have a cloud account. Or let's see, lastly, you have the physical photos. So that's 3 points of, places that you have those photos. If they're that important to you, save them. As for the audio, well, um, yeah, there's ways to do that. But just remember, if you have something on your voicemail on your phone, it is so easy to lose that. So make sure, because you can accidentally delete it or whatever, make sure you very carefully maybe send it to someone else's phone, send it to your email account or something like that. But be very careful because with that, it's so easy to delete it and then you won't have it ever again. So just be very careful. If you have an old fashioned tape recorder, save it as many places as necessary so that you'll have it. So just giving you some advice because these things can be important to us. And, um, you have it someplace else, then, all the physical stuff that is so unimportant to you. I tell you, I was away from home on that trip. Do you know I didn't miss my home? If I never saw my stuff again, it wouldn't have mattered. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that was important to me were the photos, but the rest of the stuff, I didn't care about that. It's just stuff. But I would hate to not see the faces or hear the voices of my loved ones, especially if I've been hanging on to it all these years, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I just don't have it. I would not like that. That would be very painful to me. So, um, uh, let me see. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. So, you can speak better than just about anybody here. Point well taken. Find 3 places to put these things. Especially just start with the ones that are the most important. But if you can find 3 places to put these things, um, after my aunt died, did I tell you guys someone sent a little? Well, I said that someone sent it. I just didn't share it with you. It's kind of confusing because I don't know. I had to think about sharing that. It's a little baby picture, but I had to think about sharing it. I'll maybe share it tomorrow. But yeah, it's got my name on the back of it, so I know it's me. It kind of doesn't look like me, but you know how it is for a lot of black folks, especially those of us that have the least bit of mixed race. Um, you start off one tone, and by the time you reach age 20, you have changed a bit, right? And so I'm looking at the picture, and I'm like, who's that little white kid? Why is you sending me this picture of this little white kid? It was me. It was me. I couldn't believe it. So, okay. Anyway, you guys, hope you find some good use with the information that we shared, because Meghan has given us a lot to think about. So whether it's sharing your feelings for your kids or grandkids or even your great grandkids, or if it's, as we just mentioned, about saving voicemails and photos and such, um, remember the voicemails and the videos can be kind of tricky because you don't want to accidentally delete anything. Um, but there are ways you can just share it someplace else. And listen, I've had the cloud service from is it Apple? I think it's from Apple. Well, anyway, I'm paying for a cloud from somewhere, and what is it like? Oh gosh, $5 a month, something like that. But it's another place to save stuff. So whenever I buy a new phone, everything just goes to the next phone. All right. So I think we're good with that. Is everyone okay? Are we good? If so, I'm gonna go on. Let me see. Okay, I think we did this one already, right? Oh yeah, it's here, and then it's the same one here. Okay. Oh, you know what? Let me just in case in the if if by chance anybody doesn't know exactly what we're talking about right now, why don't I just play that soundbite from Meghan on the podcast where she talks about this topic. Um, oh, you know what? Someone sent something from the wish list, and I did not see a name. I did not see a name. But if you sent something from the wish list, I did receive it. It's the LED nightlight. So thank you very much for that. I feel bad because I didn't see a name for it, but just so you know that I do have it and I do love it. They're like amber color night lights, and they look gorgeous. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's like the amber color, and they look very, very cool. Okay, so I'm gonna play that. That was a nice surprise. I was just like, "Oh, I got something in my mailbox." That's what I love about the wish list. It's so random, you know. And on those days, you're just like, "Oh my god, I got something." Okay, where is the Duchess of Sussex? I hope I got it queued up here somewhere. Oh Lord, I don't think I have it. I thought I saved it. Did I? No, I guess I don't. Or should I say, I guess I did not. Well, anyway, hopefully you were able to see it on the podcast. Oh, is this
He's
it?
also a fox. If you haven't noticed, my husband's very, very handsome.
Nope, that's not it.
Lots of different just group photos of articles
Okay, not that one.
like that in our own life. And I know that you don't really see almost any of the press, but this thing had been going on.
Well, I
saying, like
Nope, that's not it.
much what you and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, they're just the great. It's just so great. This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Thank you. We spend so much of our life trying to prove something, to prove that you're enough.
Oh gosh.
Being I am, I know.
Nope, that is the promo. Okay, you guys, I give up. I thought I had it, and I do not. I do not have it. Yeah, I guess I didn't save it properly. But I think it's so much better to hear it from Meghan's own voice. Email. Okay. All right. Sorry, did not save it. All right, so I'll just continue then. All right. Okay, let me see here. I'll take a look here. And I think we're all good. Oh, really? Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, there was no way for me to, it wasn't mentioned there.
The
So
audacity to be mad that you're not in Black movies? Wasn't this you a few years ago?
Ryan Coogler treats Latinos with so much love. We're gonna mail you your Latino card because you're one of us now.
Ryan Coogler put a lot of care and thought.
I'm sorry, I played that by mistake. And it'd be too difficult to explain it, but it was someone ranting about movies, about the lack of representation in movies. So sorry about that. Yeah, I was holding my phone and just anyway. Very unprofessional of me. Usually I'm so organized. I don't know how that happened. I'm just kidding. That doesn't even sound right. I was so organized. I can't believe that happened. If I was that organized, you all would think you were watching the wrong YouTube. You'd think you were on the wrong live. So okay. Organized is something I am not guilty of. So right here, Slate, dear future me, Meghan Markle sent her kids an email every night. There's lower lift version everyone should consider doing. There's a lower lift version everyone should consider doing. So this article, I won't go so far into detail with it, but it just says Meghan Markle, let's see, as a time capsule created for them. She told the host of the podcast, okay, because Meghan Markle, because it's Meghan Markle, this got strong reactions, namely, that's so many emails, but it's not a totally bad idea. And you don't have to be a parent to do it. For years now, every spring, I get an email. Okay, yes, just one from my past self. So this person is saying that they get an email from their past self. And I started sending these emails my junior year of high school. A classmate told me about the site Future Me, where you could write a letter and have it delivered to your inbox at any point in the future. I had journaled for years and often reread my old entries to reflect, but I was intrigued by a time capsule. The idea of writing something that would only come back to me at a later time. That year, at 17, my entry was primarily a rant against my friends at the time and my desire to be able to just graduate already, a lot of teenager angst. But I also wrote about what I was proud of that year and my hopes for 2018, and gave my future self some wise words I hope she'd remember, meaning herself, Hannah, would remember as she headed off to college that coming fall. College will be a great experience for you and get you out of your comfort zone. Take advantage of whatever resources are offered and meet new people, I wrote. Reading it and the following year was extremely gratifying. I love seeing how far I had come and how many of these grievances I had aired in the original letter had simply been resolved. Wow. So it's like you speak of what's bothering you at that moment or whatever you speak about, but that's interesting how she was saying all these grievances that she had been resolved by the following year. It's now become an annual ritual. Each time I get an email from the past, Hannah, I take a few days to think about my biggest takeaways from the prior year and what I want to remind myself of it. It's incredibly cathartic when I send it into the void, letting the future me do the rest. You could pick whatever timing, but I like the fact that this time of year is out of step with the typical reflection cycle of the new year. The letter usually comes at the end of May or the beginning of June, so just about halfway through the year. And because of this, it aligns well with certain milestones, most notably graduation from high school and college. Huh, interesting. So I'm going to click on this. It's called Write a Letter to Your Future Self. There's a link for that. Now, oh, wow. You can do 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And it says .org, so I don't think it costs anything. You know, I like this, but I would imagine Google will be here in 10 years. Future me, I don't know if future me is going to be here in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So if I set up an email, I would better, I would feel better about it being from my Google account, or, you know what I'm saying, whichever one I'm using every day. Or, you know what I'm saying? It is, or you could do both. You could do both. You could do this and you could do that. That way you'll make sure you have it. You have a better chance that it won't be lost in cyberspace. Now, how that could possibly happen, I don't know. But better to have it in two places than one. A little redundancy goes a long way. So anyway, that's the link right there. I never heard of this before, but it is called Future Me. And you could write something now and then have it forwarded to your future self in 6 months, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10 years, what I see here. Select your audience, private, public, but anonymous. That is clever, though. That is clever. I mean, it's I don't know who maintains this site. I don't even know if you have to pay for it or not. But it says .org, so I'm hoping that means it's free. But anyway, you could just take a look at it and see if it's something you're interested in. Okay, that's the rest of the article there. Sure, I could just stuff a letter in a drawer and come back to it at a later time. I personally don't trust myself to remember it or not open it. And as Meghan Markle put it, when it comes to physical nostalgia like scrapbooks, we're past that generation now. Yeah, and that's just what I was saying, is that if you put it in a medium that the kids are comfortable with, then I think they would be more likely to check an email than go through a bunch of letters and stuff. So just something to think about. Oh, sorry about the noise. Oh, there it is at the bottom. It says Future Me platform is free, though they take donations to keep it running. You see what I'm saying? I think I would rather use, okay, I'll say this. Be okay to use that, but I would still rather use Google, because I have a feeling Google is going to be there in 50 years or 10 years. Now, British vilification of Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, has reached parity. We have asked ourselves why we're still so invested in tearing her down. So this writer, she's asking the question, what's in it? Why are we still doing this? What is going on here? Why are we still doing this? Her name is Rose O'Sullivan. And let me see. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, gave a friend some jam and ice cream and signed the card HRH. And people lost their minds again. It's all kicked off after the Duchess appeared on a podcast with her pal Jamie Kern Lima. a neighbor, and former CEO of IT Cosmetics, and offered up a few polite tidbits about parenting and ambition. It was uneventful, soft focused stuff, and yet somehow this was treated like a declaration of war on the crown. During the interview, and imagine, uh, I'm sorry, not imagine, an image was shown of said jam, ice cream, and card, which Meghan had signed HRH, the Duchess of Sussex. She was accused of dancing on the grave of the royal family and reigniting tensions for a cancer stricken king, all because Meghan referred to herself as HRH in a note to a friend. Really? Really? This is beyond parody at this stage. The British press and a vocal chunk of the public have developed a visceral, sticky hatred for this woman that no longer makes much sense. It's like an old episode of EastEnders, a storyline people are emotionally addicted to, but can't explain why. Why someone with Meghan, with what Meghan has actually done to deserve this. I'm sorry, ask someone what Meghan has actually done to deserve this much bile, and you usually get a shrug or a vague, she's just annoying. But she's not leading any revolutions. She's not dishing royal secrets every Thursday. She's parenting, podcasting, sending gift hampers, and generally just living the life of in California. Her biggest crime this week seems to be making a digital scrapbook for her kids, emailing them little daily memories, something most mothers would get a round of applause for. Although my mother isn't typically sentimental, she has kept a box of mementos from my youth. Maybe we should cancel her too? No, we don't want to cancel your mom. Let me see here. The rage, if we're honest, has very little to do with protocol. It's not really about the HRH slip or even the so-called betrayal of the firm. It's about the story you were sold that Prince Harry, the cheeky chappy, was supposed to marry someone white, quietly middle class, privately educated, and British. Someone deferential. Instead, he married a divorced mixed race American actress with opinions, ambition, and God forbid, a bit of lead in her pencil. Yeah. He married someone with a bit of lead in her pencil. I never heard that before. That's cute. The real issue is that Meghan never played in the background. She spoke, she hugged, she had ideas, she moved abroad. She didn't dim her light, and that broke the unspoken deal. The Diana comparisons we love to romanticize don't extend to Meghan, even though she shared much of the same energy, warm, opinionated, independent. But when it's Meghan doing it, people squirm. Why? Because she's not what people imagine, because she's too much, because she didn't know her place. She wouldn't stay in it. And whether you like it or not, there's reasons why so many women, particularly women of color, see this scrutiny she gets as just and think just, yeah, I recognize that. I'm not saying she's perfect. None of us are. But to wish someone this much ill will, to spend your days hoping her marriage crumbles, mocking her every move, parsing her parenting habits like they're state secrets, It's disturbing. There's something deeper going on, something we should all be brave enough to admit. Deep down, a lot of people begrudge Meghan for the same unspoken reason she took Harry away, not just from the royal family, but from a nation that adored him, like a jealous mother in law suspicious of the woman who's changed her golden boy. We can't seem to grasp why Harry married Meghan. Every royal is subject to public scrutiny. The Princess of Wales has faced her own storms, most recently with the disturbing frenzy speculation that led to her cancer announcements. But with Meghan, there's always been an extra bite rather. I do I let me see. Do I agree with everything she does? Of course not. No one should be above criticism, but does she deserve the scale of hate, the threats, and abusive commentary? Absolutely not. At some point, we have to ask ourselves why we're still so invested in tearing down a woman who married a man, moved country, had children, and chose a different life. If the worst thing you can say about her is that she signs her name HRH in a thank you note or talk about her kids on a podcast, maybe the issue isn't her. Maybe it's us. There we go. I like her. Now this this writer, what is her name again? It is Rose O'Sullivan. I think she lives in the UK, but she's from Ireland. And she's saying what so many people have said before, and I'm pretty sure you're going to hear quite a few people say it again. There's a lot of jealousy. There's the component of racism. Now, speaking of a component of racism, you guys, I'm not sharing this person's name, but the unhinged reaction to Meghan is look at her eyes. Why is she so triggered? Why is she so triggered? Why? Now, I don't know much about her. I thought I detected a bit of a British accent. I'm not sure. She's the one who says, what's unmistakable here is Meghan's razor-sharp instinct for emotional choreography. She knows exactly what she's doing, conjuring the ghost of Diana to spark Harry's savior complex. The mommy, what is that? The mommy would run. The mummy would run. The mummy won't. Wow, sorry, runs deep. And Meghan, ever the calculated performer, cast it like a fishing line. Behind every syrupy metaphor is a woman who knows her husband's psychological wiring and manipulates it with the precision of a surgeon. Now, that is what she wrote. That is what she wrote, but it's not what she said. What she said is so much worse. I'm not even going to share it with you. But look at her eyes, you guys. Look at her eyes. I mean, her eyes are like, it's frightening. It is so, I'm sorry. Look at her. She is frothing at the mouth. And she's not the only one. She's not the only one. There's been a few. And some of the things that they say it's almost like, okay, do we have to get a restraining order for you? But this chick right here is unhinged. She is sailing perilously close to the window. Now, that being said, let's go to the opposite side of the conversation here.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to go there? Well, it's not lost on me that most of the comments that are saying that the hate against Meghan Markle isn't about race aren't coming from Black people or people of color in general. I wonder why that is. I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between when I say this. If you are not a person of color and you have never experienced racism firsthand, then you do not get to decide what constitutes as racism or microaggressions. Period. But allow me to begin to explain to you why the situation with Meghan is different than other Black women that you may know. Meghan Markle married a prince, not just any prince, a prince of the monarchy in England, where a large majority of Black women across the world could never have imagined themselves having the fairy tale of marrying a prince or a king, except for in Disney movies, to be honest with you. And that was only as of recently. Shout out to Princess Tiana. White women have been able to fantasize about the idea of being a princess, of being a queen, of being Princess Diana, of being Queen Elizabeth. Black women have not had that same luxury, if you will. Meghan Markle represents a fairy tale realized. But in the minds of white women who have had this fantasy, she's probably not what they imagined as their princess. And you know what? I can't even fault you for that, because when I think of a princess, she's probably not the first one to come to mind either. As a Black woman who has been indoctrinated with westernized ideals of what a beauty standard is and what a princess or a queen can be, I too would probably first imagine a white woman. A white woman would probably pop into my head first. So it's not the fault of white women that she's probably not their ideal representation of what a queen or a princess would look like in a westernized society. The problem comes in because it's not something that they have to fantasize. She is Meghan Markle, aka Meghan Sussex, the Duchess of Sussex. And y'all are fucking mad about it. And if you are mad about it, it's probably because you're racist. I hope that helps. The problem that a lot of racist white women have, and I say racist because not all white women think this way, is that it was her and not them. But if it was any other person, if it was another white woman, they would not have this same problem. If it was any white actress in Hollywood, they would not have this problem. It is because she is half Black. Now let's skip on over to the relatability aspect of things, because this is a real kicker for me. Meghan is not relatable. To who? Meghan is not relatable to who? I'll wait. I want to know first and foremost why so many of you think that Meghan needs to be relatable to you. Quickly. I personally find Meghan to be very relatable, and I'm not a motherfucking princess. She is a woman of color who is in the industry, she's successful, and she went after love, and she chose love over all else. To me, that's relatable. But it's interesting that so many racists are saying that she's not relatable, while also saying that the things that she's doing on her Netflix show are things that they are capable of themselves. You're not impressed by her crudité. You're not impressed by her fruit plate because you can make a better one wherever the fuck you come from. If not relatable, then why relatable shaped? If she's not relatable, then why are you saying that you can do exactly what she does? Sounds like you can relate. Sounds like you can exceed what she's doing. Isn't that what you said in your comments, Betty Lou? Also, this idea that celebrities or influencers need to be relatable to you is so weird to me. Because the same people who are saying these things are the same people who are following people who are on private jets every single weekend, have houses in the Hamptons, have a collection of 30 Birkins. Like, do you have a collection of 30 Birkins? Do you have one Birkin? Quickly. Is that relatable to you? No. Because you don't need those people to be relatable to you, but you're fine with it because they are white. Hope that helps. Then there's the conversation surrounding Meghan's authenticity or inauthenticity, as I've seen so many comments state. Inauthentic to who? To whomst? I watch the show. She seems very authentic to me. She seems like she is actually in her element to me. Is she inauthentic? Or is she inauthentic into the way that you have preconceived Black women or biracial women or mixed women, how we are meant to behave, how we are meant to live, our social status, what we are meant to care about, the luxuries that we are meant to enjoy? Quickly, hurry up. There is a lot of overt and covert racism and microaggression that takes place in the conversation surrounding Meghan Markle. And if you don't understand that, then there is a strong possibility that you are on the wrong side of the conversation. And when it really comes down to it, at the base of it all, it was never going to be you. It was never going to be you. And that's why you're mad. It was never going to be you. It was always going to be her. And that is what upsets you the most. Because Meghan Markle is exceptional. You force us into this space of needing to be exceptional in order to be accepted. And she is. She is beautiful. She is talented. She is smart. She's well educated. She's well spoken. And you're still mad because it's her and not you. But it was never going to be you. It was always going to be her. When it came down to it, that man chose her over everything. He chose love over everything and over the sound of your annoying, grating voice. She is living a soft life. A biracial woman is living a soft life and you're mad about it. The vitriol is rooted in racism. Y'all tell on yourselves every single time. But Meghan, I wish you the best, girl. Keep standing on these bitches' throats. So, and I love to see it. You want to know why? Because you're hateful. And you deserve to be upset. Hope that helps.
Okay, so those truth bombs came from Cammy with a K, Cammy Crawford. She's on TikTok. And that was, I think she made that video back on the 7th of March. Yeah, I think it was the 7th of March. And that, of course, was after the release or after the premiere of the With Love Meghan. It's unfortunate that we have to go through this exercise every time Meghan has a big moment. But what it does is that as a result of this last round of attacks, and even the one before it, it has triggered women of color. It has triggered white women who are ready to call them out, to call out these haters. And even white men. How many white men have taken inspiration from With Love Meghan, which leaves just a portion of a demographic group? So let's say, in general, you have different, people or different groups within, I guess what I'm trying to say is you have women, then of course you have Black women, biracial women, and it's just too many to even try to make sense out of. But the hardcore group, they're older white women that look like they work at the bank. They look like they work at the bread counter at the local gourmet supermarket. But it's a portion. It is a portion of that demographic. It's not most, it's not half. It may not even be 3%. May not even be that much. But it is a persistent group of people within that demographic, according to Christopher Bosey, who has done the research. When he looked for those accounts, when he found out who the account holders were, and it was just a handful of accounts that were responsible for, like, what was it he said, 80% of the misinformation? And they do organize. They do organize. I have witnessed that myself by going onto their social media and seeing where they make this public declaration. The same way I say, please go in there and say something positive about Meghan because there's so much hate there. Have you heard me ever say, please go to the Kensington Royal or any of those accounts? Have you ever heard me say to go over there and make trouble for the royal family? Have you ever heard me say that? Have you ever heard me say anything disparaging about the Cambridge children? The answer is no and no. But yet, this group, within a minority of a group of angry, older white women, have targeted Meghan. They have targeted Harry. They've targeted her mother. And of course, the children. Who goes after kids? Who goes after children? I wish that somebody would do a very well thought out, publicized, and that's the problem is there are people that have looked into it, including Christopher Bosey, but it doesn't get much traction with the media, and in no way compares to what's happening even now with this whole thing about the HRH. It just doesn't get that much traction. But this is not normal. This is not anything that we should ever get used to. It's just like I say about the President of the United States. This is not normal. This is not typical. And yet, there are people that still defend him. Because they don't see themselves as a victim. They don't see themselves as someone who could get kicked out of the country, who could be deported and sent to a prison in another country with no legal recourse. They don't see that for themselves. And so the idea that all of these older white men that's representing the royal family, they're not covering the royal family, they represent the royal family. And the women that represent the royal family, the idea that they would ever say anything logical or kind or reasonable about Meghan, no. Every day, there is a standing army of individuals that hits the airways day after day with lies and conspiracies. And they don't even try to hide it. They don't have to. They don't have to hide it. We've gotten to that point now where if they didn't do it, we think something had happened. You're like, I wonder why they're not being so evil today. They don't take a break, not even for the coronation. They made the Queen's funeral about Harry and Meghan. 70 years on the throne, they accuse Harry and Meghan of abusing the Queen, and yet it's the tabloid media that is the actual abusers. And people are forced to choose. Will it be Coke or Pepsi? Good versus evil. Who's good and who's evil? Depends on who you ask. The only thing that works for the palace is the Sussexes to go away and live in obscurity and never go before a camera again. Or worse. I don't even want to say what worse is, but that's the only thing that works for them over there across the ocean. It's the only outcome that they would be comfortable with. And even then, those same awful people that have been filling their bank accounts, speaking about the Sussexes all day, every day, they would still make more money. There would be a flood of, what do you call it? A flood of those, the word escapes me, documentaries. There would be a flood of documentaries. What they were thinking, what they were doing, who their friends were, when it all went so terribly wrong. That's going to happen anyway. That is going to happen anyway. For the next 100 years, it's going to be Meghan, Wallis Simpson, Meghan, Princess Diana, Meghan. That's going to be the next 100 years. I know this because they haven't stopped talking about Wallis Simpson yet. You wait long enough, there's another book about Wallis Simpson. You want to know what grates on my nerve? Yet another book about Marilyn Monroe and John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy and what was his name? The actor Lawless, whatever his name was, Peter Lawford. By the time Marilyn Monroe mysteriously died, she was 36 years old. She was in probably some of the best shape ever, right? But take it from me. I know this may come as a shock to some of y'all, but I am a man. And there are so many women between Marilyn Monroe's LA bungalow and the White House. There are so many women from point A to point B. This idea that John F. Kennedy was governing the country, Robert Kennedy was, maintaining the Department of Justice and whatever the hell Peter Lawford was doing, but they just could not stop thinking about they just could not stop thinking about Marilyn Monroe. And why do they keep writing these books? Why? Or the assassination, whatever. Why do they keep writing these books? John F. Kennedy, handsome, young, strapping president of the United States. Jacqueline Kennedy, beautiful, and intelligent, mysterious. And of course, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn was everything. She had the whole thing. She was everything that you could be. That's what she was. That's the only reason why they keep writing about these people. That's it. And so it's not just that the Sussexes are famous, but they're so darn good looking. They're so darn good looking. They are eye catchers. There are people that hate Meghan, but will go out and buy everything she wore so they can look like Meghan. Make that make sense. This is why I tell you, it's never going to stop. So Meghan may as well get as much money out of this as possible, not just for her pocket, but for the security of that family. Because as much as they speak so terribly about her, this is the key to their retirements. This is how they're putting their kids through school. This is how Nana is buying wigs. This is how they're doing it. Meghan is the only reason why GB News exists. They barely make a profit. The woman you see on the screen right there is very intelligent. She knows what's going on. And she knows that these people are getting rich. They're getting fat from Meghan. Someone she obviously identifies with for whatever reasons. She identifies with Meghan. She's experienced the same stuff that Meghan has. And that is why there is all of this pushback. Because they see her and they see what she's going through and they recognize the game. They know the game that's being played. So they are rallying to Meghan's support. And that is just something that they were not expecting. They thought that if they just keep this hate campaign going, if we get enough of our reporters in these newsrooms and take over all these newspapers, that we can shape everybody's thoughts. They don't understand how Black women move. They do not get Black women. They do not. They do not. They just have not cracked the code yet. And they never will. They never will. Because it's something very unique in the universe. The experience of the Black woman. It is very unique. You can say it's the same, but it's always going to be the same, but different. And that is because of the racism. It's very different from being racist towards someone for being Asian or from South America, or should I say being like, Hispanic, indigenous and such. Very different. It just does not calculate the same. Because there's a mixture of fear and hostility. A fear that if a Black woman is not watched over and monitored, if we leave her to her own impressiveness, we might lose control completely. I'm not even going to pretend like I know completely and understand completely why it is what it is, but it's just something that's always been, especially in this country. The United States' first sin America's first sin, not the indigenous people, of course, but the European settlers, their first sin, racism, slavery, the first sin. And all they want is for us to stop talking about it. But the legacy of it has not left. The legacy is still there. We're still being hounded by the police. So yeah, that's not going to go away either. April Shower, thank you. Showers, should I say? Thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Let me see, Noella. Yeah, it carries on to the next generation. Thank you, Mashar, for that. Mary says, Marin, that's what I was trying to say. White people always knew the black woman's importance. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not able to articulate it or put it into words, but it just seems to be a constant admiration, fear, anxiety. It's like the stages of grief come out, and the more powerful, the more successful a black woman is, the more contempt, the greater the anger. And yet, when there were more domestic servants in the household, not just slavery, I'm saying, during the Jim Crow era, and especially in the South, so many white families of means were so determined to have black women in their home to raise their kids. It was just so important to them. I had an aunt that worked as a domestic for years. She had a very interesting experience, and she said that when she worked in service, they would try to speak about the politics of the day during the civil rights movement, especially. And she learned not to talk about it. She put up her shield. She raised her mask in the workplace, and she never let slip her position in the household. Now, I have to tell you, it wasn't anything like the movie The Help. Nothing like that. She had two families that she worked for, and one had, the young ones and such. She always come home with stories about those kids. And the other was an older woman. And this woman put my cousin through university. Okay. You look at some of the photos of him going to these private schools, and you would see this one spot in the photo. These old black and white photos, right? We're talking about the 1970s. You look at this one little area, you think, oh, it must be, maybe those are trees, or maybe there's some kind of hedge or something. Grainy old photos. You see all the white people, of course, all the white kids. And then when you hold it up and look at it and tilt it a little bit, I'm like, oh, that's my cousin. Because he was the only black person there. I'm telling you, this woman was extraordinary. She loved my aunt so much that when my aunt got too old to work, she hired someone else. So basically, my aunt would go to the North Shore in the taxi that they paid for to keep this lady company. My aunt was the only person in the world she trusted. And let me tell you, when I tell you my aunt maintained character, she did it for the obvious reasons, because there was a time when it was unsafe to speak freely in those homes. And she never forgot that lesson. I remember going to visit my aunt one Christmas. We had dropped her off and I helped her take some. She lived on the third floor of this building. And I remember, walking up with her, and she spoke differently about work this time. She spoke in a way that seemed very nostalgic, very reflective, as though she was speaking of an era that was coming to an end. And she was trying to teach me a life lesson at the same time. And she pointed to this envelope. She said, "You see that envelope right there?" She said, "You know what that is?" I said, "Uh-uh." She said, "That's my Christmas bonus." I said, "Really? How much did you get?" Because I knew these people were loaded, right? She said, "I don't know." Now, mind you, this is past Christmas now. This is past Christmas. I want to say it was the middle of January. I can't remember. But she had it for a while. But it was around Christmas time. So I remember there was still snow on the ground. It was still cold. Her arthritis was flaring up. And I said, "Why didn't you open it?" She said, "Because I'm not going to make them think I need that money." I didn't understand what she was talking about. I said, "Don't you want to know?" She said, "Yeah, I'll open it eventually." I don't know when she opened it. I never knew what was in it. But what she told me was, because of her discipline with these people, every time she went to work after Christmas, "How'd you like that bonus you got?" "I haven't opened it yet." The next day, "So what you think of the bonus?" She still hadn't opened it. She didn't even put herself in the position where she'd have to lie about it. She just hadn't opened it. She couldn't tell you what was in it or anything. But she said every year, it seemed like her bonus got bigger and bigger and bigger, because she had enough dignity and self-respect to never seem like she needed that money. She accepted the money, but she didn't put herself in that hand-to-mouth, undignified, "I'll have those table scraps if you don't mind." She never did that. Do you guys remember the Trans Am, the Firebird Trans Am, when they first came out? The Smokey and the Bandit Trans Am. When my cousin graduated from university, that is what my aunt's employer purchased him. He never wanted for anything. He never wanted for anything. They didn't have to ask. They never wanted for it. This lady looked at my cousin like an extension of her family. She looked to my aunt like an extension of her family. When she died, she left my aunt this painting that was, I don't know, she had this impression that my aunt loved that painting. My aunt didn't know what it was. She didn't know what it was. Let me see. What was the other one that I thought was so interesting? Oh, and you know, as far as my aunt taking the taxi to work, the reason why that happened is because she got mugged one morning. She got mugged, and they were like, "Well, we'll give you $50 a day," and this more than covered the fare, but they gave her $50 a day. So every day she worked, she got $50 to get up to the North Shore. And my aunt, who, you know, as I say, wasn't wanting for anything, she had a regular taxi driver and she gave him the entire $50. She said, I don't know how much it is. This is what they gave me to give you. Keep the rest. And that was the arrangement that she made with the taxi driver. And so she did that, you know, well into her old age. And it was a very interesting story. So not all the point of the this is not all white people are the same. Obviously, even the older white people, even though they may have some, you know, racist tendencies in their thought, doesn't mean that they're hateful people, but they're older. They grew up at a different time, just like my aunt grew up at a different time. And so my aunt was very guarded with her conversation with these people because that's what she did to survive. It's what a lot of black people had to do back in those days to survive. But that was my impression of my aunt working in that type of service. I didn't know the type of service like you see in the movie The Help. I only knew of it from what my aunt would talk about. So she had a very beautiful relationship with both these families that she worked for. I don't know if the families were related. I don't recall, but that was something that she had for work that was rewarding for her. Got her out the neighborhood. She got to see, you know, how rich people live on the North Shore. And she had a bunch of fun stories to tell us about these people when she would come over for a coffee. So, Elaine Parker, thank you so much for getting up to go to the bathroom, to the loo. Thank you. I thank you and I thank your bladder. You can always count on your bladder. Yeah, she was very smart. Very, very smart. She knew exactly how to maintain things. Uh, oh, okay. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Noella, I have some feelings about that Sophie. I have, you know, and it's not it's not hate, it's just disappointment. She she embarrasses me. I'm disappointed by her. But I believe in paying their own way and not, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, thank you, Elaine Parker. Yeah, you know, I don't know if I ever met. I don't think I ever met those families that she worked for. Um, I just knew them from all these interesting stories that she told. But my aunt was very well looked after. Very well looked after. I don't if you know, I hate to say things like, "Oh, she must have done something in her life to deserve to," you know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that we ought to be thinking transactional about the things that we do in life and how that, you know, decides whether we have a bit of luck or blessing. But I remember when the CD players first came out and they bought her a CD player and she played the CD. This is what she said. She said, okay, so I plugged it in, I played it. And she said, and I was still waiting because, you know, I keep hearing about the CD player and the CDs. And she said, it just sounded like music to me. It sounds like music. That was it. You know, she's like, you know, sitting there with her hands all balled up with excitement and you know, smiling and waiting for this spectacular thing to happen because she was probably the first person in the family to have a CD player, courtesy of this lady. But yeah, and she's like, it just sounds like music. She's very blasé. She's very blasé about things. And you know, very lovely person. And by the way, it's not my aunt that passed away recently. This was actually my aunt's aunt, if that makes sense. My aunt's aunt. So she was married to my aunt's uncle, obviously, and my great uncle. So she was not even a blood relative. She just kind of married into the family. And I don't think she had any other family. So yeah, she kind of married into our family. Okay, you guys, I spent way too much time on that, but I hadn't spoken about that in so long. It was nice sharing it. Why is it every time I see Whoopi Goldberg, the first thing, like if it was word association, watch this. Ted Danson. Ted Danson. Oh, Lord. Okay. So we spoke about The View yesterday, right? Sonny Hostin, Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg. I don't know the other two ladies there. But anyway, let me cue this up for you. As Barbara Walters would say, I always wanted to do a walk woe of wait. Let me stop. I haven't made fun of Barbara Walters in so long. Maybe I shouldn't. Well, I always wanted to do a walk show of women of different wages and backgrounds. Be careful what you ask for. Whoopi Goldberg was not original to the show. Do you guys know that? The only original host up there is Joy Behar. Everybody else is Johnny Come Lately. But Joy is the only one that was there from day one. A retired school teacher turned comedian.
The royal rumor mill is buzzing after Meghan Markle sent a gift to a friend using her former title, Her Royal Highness, despite the fact that she and Harry stepped away from their royal roles in 2020. Damn them! This has reportedly enraged heir to the throne, Prince William, who wants to officially strip their behinds of the title once and for all. all. Is it a bad look for Meghan to still refer to herself as a royal?
No, no, it's not.
There you are.
Because
Wake me up when you're done.
thank you. It is not. And it is because the agreement that was made did not remove the title. It restricted the way it was to be used. It was not to be used publicly. And she was giving a friend some strawberry jam that she made herself. And she wrote HRH, the Duchess of Sussex.
So were they
okay, so that was a private gift.
Wait, so
The
I
other
can't
thing-
say Dame Joy Behar anymore?
You can say it to me when you give me the
Oh,
jam,
okay.
right? Because it's private.
All right.
I will also say the Queen did not want Camilla to be called the Queen. The Queen wanted Camilla to be called the Queen Consort.
Consort.
Which
King
is very
Charles, doesn't that sound
but her
like-
husband
but her
became
husband
king and
became
changed
king
all
and
that.
changed it.
Right, he's going to do the
So
same
if she
thing.
can be the Queen, Meghan can be HRH.
I think-
in my opinion.
There are no heroes here. I find it a little bit cringe to give a gift to a close friend and sign it Her Royal Highness, but I find it way cringier and just very, very petty that Prince William is reportedly just waiting to take the
Maybe it's
throne
not true.
and be king so that he could strip her of her title. Like, you only live once, make up with your brother. and
Yeah, but
life.
you made homemade strawberry jam. It's kind of like a doctor when you keep referring to them as doctor, like call me Susan. You know, like I would never refer to myself as Her Royal Highness.
I want her to give me HRH.
Can I just ask a really dumb question that I just woke up for?
Yeah. I'm so glad I got your
Are we that boring?
It's the subject.
Oh,
matter.
yeah.
I think it is cringier that her friend aired it publicly.
I don't think she did. Didn't it go on?
That's public. Yeah, but that's public. And so to me, I think if somebody gives you a gift, you can say, you know, so-and-so, my friend so-and-so gave me a present.
Yeah.
But you don't need to, I don't feel like she needed to show that.
Whoopi,
So-
that was very insightful.
I didn't think of that.
So she
Well, yeah, I'm old enough to be inside.
I like that.
Because I've been using my title for the last 30 years.
Queen Whoopi.
Or
No,
just
no,
Whoopi
no,
Goldberg.
I'm actually Dame. Oh,
You're
yeah.
Dame? There is nothing like a day.
So is that what it is? I didn't know Whoopi had one of those dame things. No wonder she's always defending the royal family. Don't that explain everything? As Petal from Facts and 2 Cents said, once they get those little trinkets, they own you. You have to defend them. You're going to take their side. That explains everything. Are you talking about the one in purple? Because the one in purple is the one who said what Whoopi repeated about it being cringy, and the one in pink, she's the one who was, just said something else. But yeah, Whoopi literally just sat there and repeated the same thing that the other lady said about it being cringy, that she shared it. I don't know if Whoopi noticed that, but she literally just repeated what the other lady said. Time for Whoopi to go home. She's been on here too long. I would love to see her replaced by somebody else. Oh, well. So Kate Middleton changes her look and dares to go blonde. The princess's new hair color is not trivial. Now, this is, I believe, translated from French. And for some reason, it kept saying, blonde instead of blonde. It just would not change it into a L. So I just took a screenshot of it as it was. And this is from a magazine called Femina. Some online magazine. Anyway, they're celebrating this change of hair color, but I think she's just gone a little lighter. Clarence Thomas in braids. I think her hair is lighter, but I don't know that she's, for the first time going blonde. She's been doing those blonde highlights and such for the longest. If you look at her walking through the wheat field with that dumb look on her face, you can see clearly her hair has been, they've been trending her hair color lighter almost on a yearly basis. Every year she comes back a little lighter. It helps to soften up the appearance, I think. God, she's got terrible posture, doesn't she? She has terrible posture. For someone that is supposed to be so superior, the royal princess and such, she has awful posture. And it's not because she was sick. She's been like that for quite some time. I'm telling y'all, this chick ain't wrapped too tight. She is not wrapped too tight. She is about one tree short of a hammock. She is about one tree short of a hammock. And I normally wouldn't point out such things, but since she's such a hateful person, I'm going to point it out. She ain't wrapped too tight. So I also pointed out yesterday, I still think that they have been tinkering around with her face. Now, what they have done to her face, I don't know, but she looks very different. She looks very different. So far they have gotten away with this reason for her to be off for 172 days. But even if that is true, that she might have had cancer, I think they chose that as an opportunity to do some adjustments. And I don't blame her. I mean, who wants to age publicly? It must be very, painful to have to wither away under the scrutiny of the public eye, especially a public that is as vicious as the people that are your so-called fans. And sometimes they do, come for her. They do come for her. Okay, I'm trying to find those photos from yesterday. There it is right there. I'm telling you, look at the left side of her face. Look at the left side of her face. Something looks off about that. Something looks very off about it. Robert Collins, buongiorno to you too. Thank you so much for being here. Robert, have you gone over to the St. Mary Major Basilica? Have you gone over there to take a look at everything? But yeah, I think they've been making some adjustments. I don't know exactly how they did or what they did, but I'm telling you, she looks different. She looks adjusted. She looks very adjusted. And I'm going to, let's see, where is that at? Yeah. It's like somebody has gotten out a can of Fix-A-Flat. That's what it looks like. It looks like somebody went to the local auto parts store and got some Fix-A-Flat. They done something. I'm just going to say they done something. Because something looks different. You see what I'm saying? Do you all see it or no? I'm just, yes, exactly. Something looks different. It looks very strange. Not everybody is a good recipient for treatment, for adjustments. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to be careful with my words here. if she was smart, she would just leave it alone. She would leave it alone because not everybody is a good candidate for cosmetic procedures. Not everyone. And that is alleging the possibility that perhaps she could have had, maybe could have, allegedly have had some type of work done. But I feel like I'm looking at some Play-Doh or silly putty. It looks really, really bad. It could be the light. It could be the light. But okay, the photo on the right, definitely the light has caught it. But the one in the middle, uh-uh. That one in the middle, no, 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 no. That is not the light. That is her. I can't stop looking at it because I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I'm just like, what is different? What is different? So anyway, I'm gonna mind my business now because it ain't my business what she doing. But I'm telling you, something looks awfully strange. Hmm. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I'm not sure exactly what procedure. I'm not sure exactly what procedure was used, but something ain't right. Something ain't right. Yeah, Marshar. That could happen. That could happen. Oh, Robert Collins says, I have been over to Santa Maria Maggiore, a beautiful tribute and resting place. Robert, I shared some photos last week. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but I took some photos when I was there in 2018, and it is so beautiful. It just, I don't have the words. Of course, you feel like you're just every place you look, there's an amazing detail. There's but it's also very clean. It's not cluttered. It's not a very cluttered basilica. It's not, overwhelming like like an assault to your eyes or anything. It is very, very tastefully adorned with beautiful art. It's amazing, amazing. When I walked into that place, I was in awe of it. It doesn't have the height and scale of the St. Peter's Basilica, but you cannot help but be impressed. Okay, let me take this off the screen and get back over to where was I at? Here? Yeah. No, there. There. Okay. Ispy, that grainy photo in the Audi, it seemed as though, okay, let me create a scenario. I'm not saying that this is true. I'm just saying this could have been a thing. Like something was done over the Christmas holiday. And then there was this time or period for healing, right? It never seemed like she was actually at that hospital. It seemed as though she was being trolled by Camilla, because Camilla was in and out the hospital where they said Kate was, and yet we never saw anybody enter or exit that hospital for Kate, not even William. We saw him drive past. We saw him supposedly driving up to the place, but there's no image of him walking in or out of the place. So that bloated face that we saw in the Audi may very well have been that of Kate Middleton. That very bloated face that looked like Kate, but you couldn't really tell. The one where she was in the car with her mother. But how do you go from this? How do you go from this to this? I don't know. Okay, now when I look at this one right here, I'm starting to doubt myself. I'm looking at this one and I'm starting to doubt myself. And by the way, I don't feel guilty at all for speculating, because they do this to Meghan all day long. And so I feel like I have a right to do this. But I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, they say she changed her hair color, but I have just shown you some very good evidence that I don't think her hair looks that much different today than it did, any other day. Right? I mean, she's been dabbling with the highlights and such for the longest. Don't know. But you take a look here. So there's Kate, whose face seems to be voluminous now, full of volume, compared to some of the photos that I just showed you. And there's makeup-free Meghan. Right? There's makeup-free Meghan. If there's anything that I think would cause Kate to start losing her mind, and that would be the idea that she is aging rapidly, publicly aging rapidly, and yet Meghan almost looks like she's still in college. That's got to be bothering her. That anybody who would go through so much trouble to wear the same clothing, almost identical in some cases, would be the same person who throws herself to the mercy of a plastic surgeon or whoever to try to turn things around. It is not very royal. It is not very regal. Princess Anne hasn't been tinkering around with her face. The Queen certainly hasn't. Even Sophie Wessex, I don't think she's done anything in particular. Royal women don't usually do that stuff. Royal women do not change their hair color. And yet, Kate seems to be in the throes of a midlife crisis. Kate seems to be in the throes of a midlife crisis. But to me, her face has been looking off for quite some time. It looks this way this week and that way next week. And the more you do that stuff, the more problems you have. Like those long absences. If you're using filler, and I'm saying if, because I don't know that she is, but if you're using filler, it travels. And you know how they say that the filler goes away after what, 6 months or 2 years, whatever the case is? It doesn't. It's still there. So I think that long term, she may actually cause more problems than she actually, using my words carefully, than what she actually can solve. That's what I'm trying to say. Leg says, true. Was that true? She has a double. She has a double-decker Java face. Thank you, Legs. Yeah, Mary of Denmark looks good. She's aging gracefully, by the way. Mary of Denmark is aging gracefully, and it doesn't look like she's been, doing things. Okay, Joy of More. I don't know. I got to stop thinking about this, but I promise you, I just feel like something looks strange. I feel like something looks strange. I keep thinking about these pictures. Those two right there. I keep thinking about those pictures. I just keep coming back to them, and I'm looking at her jaw. And I'm like, what has she done? I could be wrong. It could be the light. It could be the shade. But I keep looking at it because it just seems as though it's heavier on one side than the other. Like the nerves and the muscles have been compromised. That's so sick. I would hate to believe that. You know what I'm saying? It's so sick. I would hate to believe that. I'm not saying it's not true, but it just seems so sick. It creeps me out to think about it. But then again, that famous photo was kind of creepy. This one. Yeah. And poor Kate looking like Imogene Coco. Poor Kate looking like Irene Ryan. She looks like a cross between Irene Ryan, Imogene Coco, and Ruth Buzzy. Yeah. I'm seeing 3 veteran vaudevillian actors, performers. Imogene Coco. Am I showing my age? Imogene Coco, Irene Ryan, and Ruth Buzzy. Yeah, I'm seeing those 3 veterans of stage and television. Okay. As Miranda Priestley would say, that's all. Okay, that's all. Irene Ryan, Imogene Coco, and Ruth Buzzy. And just a little mini Pearl. Just a little bit of mini Pearl. But this is what they're trying to prevent. If I was Kate and I thought that this was my future, you couldn't do enough work on me. If I thought I would have to stand before the world looking like that, I would get some work done too. She has her reasons, y'all. She has her reasons. Now, today, the Daily Fail shared these before and after images of some very famous women. I believe this is the after. And by the way, what's her name? Anne Hathaway. She looks like she had some plastic surgery. It could, yeah, she looks like she's had some plastic surgery, which surprises me because I thought she was doing very well for herself without the surgery, but it looks as though she's done something. Now, this is the before. As you can see, Anne Hathaway's, the shape of her eyes have changed. You can see, what's her name there at the bottom? What is her name at the bottom in the middle? Anyway, you can see she was getting a bit heavy. Her eyes were getting a bit heavy, her eyebrows and stuff. And so you can see it looks like they lifted everything up. And Gwyneth Paltrow, she just looks older, but to me, she doesn't look like she had any work done. But I'm assuming that she had something done. And obviously, that Kardashian Jenner lady, obviously she had some stuff done. And the other two, I don't really care about them. I don't even know who they are. You can imagine the pressure Kate feels with Meghan as her sister-in-law can't compete with melanin protection skin protected from sun damage and aging. Yeah. Yeah. But let me see. Let me find the air hostess. I mean, okay, that's not a good example. Never mind. Never mind. I was about to try to use her for something, but I changed my mind. The people who claim to be outraged that, let me see, the California Royals, the California Royal is disrespecting the real queen, have no problem with the utter contempt that King Charles showed in making his former mistress queen instead of queen consort. I mean, on the one hand, you have the very stately the queen, and then you have the slovenly, very sloppy, messy looking queen consort. So let's see. Chris says, in the annals of disrespecting the queen, using your styling in private won't make the list. But number one will be King Charles the Cruel, forcing his mother to sign off on Camilla being queen consort. Then, as soon as she kicked the bucket, make her Queen Camilla. And that was, of course, in reference to Ascension Day, which the Queen publicly made the declaration, Accession Day, that is, in 2022, months before she died. They kind of forced her to call Camilla Queen Consort instead of Princess Consort. Charles somehow coerced his mother into signing that letter patent or whatever it was. He did something. Next thing you know, the queen was sitting there talking about, yeah, call her queen consort. Well, that didn't last, did it? That did not age well. So, queen, big sloppy mess. Queen, big sloppy mess. You decide who's the real queen. Princess of Wales joins, I'm sorry, Prince of Wales joins King Charles and Queen Camilla at Buckingham Palace reception for Victoria and George Cross recipients one day after William and Kate's whirlwind anniversary trip. Now, you know who wasn't there? Kate. Where was Kate Middleton? That's the question. Where was Kate Middleton? I mean, we see Charles with his tongue extended out of his space for some reason. We see William. And of course, Godzilla is in there somewhere. But where was Kate Middleton? She was not invited because Queen Consort, Queen Camilla, and Kate are not getting on with each other. Kate and the Queen Consort are not getting on with each other. I promise you, there seems to be some problems there. I don't know how far back it goes, but I want to say ever since Kate stepped out of the back of that state Bentley, bearing her knees at the president of South Korea, it doesn't seem like Kate has had a very well-defined role in court at all. The royal court seems to take delight in having gotten rid of her. That is not looking good. Kate should have been there. Kate, she's the standard bearer for that family. No explanation. She just wasn't there. No explanation. Now, of course, there's something that covers everything, and that is, oh, well, after all, she's raising the future king. Go tell it on the mountain. She was not welcome to be there. Now, can a monarchist please explain to me why why Will and Kate are still blatantly editing their photos? Now, shame on me for not cropping a photo closer so we could see what she's talking about. But I can do this. I'd have to, well, did I save that photo or not? Let me see if I saved it. If I did, I'll crop it for you and share it. Huh, I did. So first do a duplicate. And then let me crop this all the way down so we can see what the heck is going on here. Well, it does. Honestly, I don't know what I'm looking at. Let me share it with you. I'd have to get a closer look. I cannot be for certain what I'm looking at. Is it the way it's kind of sticking out in the back there, or I don't know. Is it the weird white outline? And you know what? Why does the person to the right, you see the leg on the right? Why does that look strange? Huh. You see, whoever's wearing that dress on the right side, yeah, up close. You know, I have to find the original photo because we have to be really careful on social media because sometimes people will people will, take liberty with a photo. Like I was saying, that image of William's mouth, clearly that photo was photoshopped. As much as I would love to trash Willie, I believe that photo was photoshopped. Okay, so that lady was there. But why does it look like she's photoshopped into the photo? Okay, I'm gonna grab this one from a website. Give me just a second. I'm gonna try to. Okay, this photo was taken by Wei Ching, Kensington Palace. So this is not from a photographer. This is from someone at Kensington Palace. This is a Will and Kate photo. Okay. Now I'm going to do two things. I just grabbed that photo. I am going to make a dupe. I'm going to make a dupe of it so we can look at it zoomed in. I mean, I hate to believe it, but I think I see what she's talking about. And that's bad. Because it doesn't even seem like she's there. Okay, let me dupe it. Duplicate one photo, right? And I'm going to zoom in on those feet again. And you all see what I'm talking about. It seems like that lady is levitating in the scene, like she's not really there. You see what I'm saying? See how weird that right foot appears? Now, let me get the photo again. So, all right, I thought maybe somebody photoshopped it after the fact, but no, this is yet another version of it that comes from a magazine. I believe Kensington Palace is still photoshopping. I really do. I'm not just saying that. I believe they are still tinkering with those photos. You would think they had learned their lesson. That lady in that hideous skirt doesn't even seem like she's really there. Thank you, Legs. Let me go back and take a look at that. It does. It is hanging in a very weird, awkward way. And then also, it seems like I see the outline of the lady in the skirt with those massive calves. it looks like Kate is not there. It seems like William and the guy are the only ones that are, well, isn't this weird? Isn't this weird? It's like, I know y'all ain't photoshopping again. I know y'all ain't photoshopping. You can't be. You can't. You just can't. You cannot be photoshopping again. Well, it does look strange. It does. It looks a bit weird. And I'm looking at who they credit the photo. Matter of fact, let me show you what I'm looking at right here. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at. I'm going to put it right there so you can see. That's what it says beneath the photo. Is that Wadey Ching? Is that like code for Wadey Katie? Who the hell is she? Is that a person? Well, the photo is credited to Kensington Palace, but why would you not just let the photographers that have accompanied you to the Isle of Dole or Mull or whatever, why wouldn't you just let the press corps, the Royal Rota, why wouldn't you let them take photos? Why are you using an in-house photographer? That looks like some bad photoshopping. Yeah, I can't explain it, but that looks strange. It looks very strange. Oh well. Looks like they at it again. So I have independently sourced this photograph outside of what Henry VIII posted. I went and found it myself from an online magazine, and it still looks photoshopped. Yeah, somebody's up to something. Looks very strange. Can a monarchist please explain to me why Will and Kate are still blatantly editing their photos? Let me see what kind of responses Henry VIII has received. Like it was mission critical that grass looks greener, perhaps kindest assumption. Someone else says, look at William's left hand. They're saying, look at William's left hand. Let me see. Also, they transpose bushes over the guy's leg that blend into shadows. It's a mess of a photo. Huh. Same day, but big difference. Now, somebody else is, oh, okay, but this is airbrush. That's what that is. But they, guys, it's a lot of people that are talking about these photos. It's another one where they're showing Kate's face and they're saying same day, big difference. Well, there has been some airbrushing. That is for certain. There has been a level of airbrushing. Now, just so you guys know, the way you see photos that are not airbrushed is Celebici. They buy their photos from Getty and they do not partake in any airbrushing. So it's the raw photo. Getty does not airbrush the photos. But when the tabloids purchase those photos, they will edit them. A few months ago, I found another badly edited photo by KP. It could still be in their X profile or whatever. I haven't altered it myself. I just amplified it. Kate's teeth look like they're coming off. Check it for yourself. I see what they mean, but that could be light. It looks weird, but that could be the light. Got to be very careful with the light. Okay. I'm thinking that's shadow. And from Duchess of Success says, wondering if they're just doing it at this point because they know we'll notice. The Franken photo is the most press they've gotten that they've got in years. Any attention is better than no attention for them at this point. That's a very valid point that she makes there. Yeah, that is pretty solid. Okay. Yeah, it does look very strange. But that could be exactly what it is. It's just that they want, hey, Hazel, they just want the attention. Am I almost done? Yes, I'm almost done. Brian Tyree Henry confirms that Duchess Meghan sent him an as ever gift box. Oh, he got the entire box, did he? I don't know who he is, but I think he's an actor. And anyway, he said ever since the As Ever brand, ever since watching With Love Meghan, he has been totally obsessed with the flower sprinkles. And then lastly, Copycat. Don't be surprised if Copycat doesn't start going around kicking her leg up like Jennifer Lewis. You know, she loves to try to identify with Black women for all the wrong, for the most disturbing reasons. At the very least, she likes to dress like them. Now maybe she may try to adapt some type of moves to go with her theft of character. But yeah, don't be surprised if Kate starts going around kicking that leg up like Jennifer Lewis. I hope the next time Kate does that, she's on vacation in South Africa and staying at that same hotel where Jennifer Lewis was staying, and that she goes out on that same deck, just like Jennifer Lewis. And at that point, I'm just going to leave it alone. If you know, you know. But okay, guys, thank you all very much. It has been a pleasure as per usual. Thank you, moderators, for keeping this a safe space. Also, thank you to everyone who has a membership, everyone who has liked and shared this channel, making it one of the fastest growing Sussex-friendly channels ever, with a whopping 62,000 subscribers. And to the almost 10,000 people every day that come over to Royal Sussex and share your thoughts and ideas and everything. It has been an absolute pleasure being a part of this. And thank you all for trusting me to do this work. That means the world to me. That means so much to me. Okay, and we're good. All right, so I'm going to say goodnight. Love you guys, and I will see you all next time. Let me find something more dignified to put on the screen. Oh, what time is it in the UK? Harry's court decision should come out at 2 p.m. in the UK. And right now, the time in the UK is 9:35 a.m. So we'll find out in a few hours. It is 9:35 a.m. in London. Okay. Oh, thank you, Elaine Parker. Yes, thank you so much, Marsha. Let's all pray for Harry's success. I really, really, really do admire Harry because of the man that he's become. I mean, that little boy that was there for his mother and had his very playful, cheeky personality and everything. He has grown into a real global leader, one of the most influential people in the world. And I'm very proud to support both Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Very proud to do that. Okay, and we're out. Thank you all.